Okay,
There is a little stagger. I want to get you.
it's delayed.
Stagger in my
Okay. Oh, this is loud. You can hear me now, right? Testing. Today is June 2nd, 2026, and this is a committee of the whole meeting between the mayor and the board of trustees of the village of Sauk Village. And I would like to call the meeting to order at 7:10 p.m. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Burns? Here. Trustee Jones? Absent at the moment. Trustee Johnson? Here. Trustee Sapp is absent with notice. Trustee Sterling? Present. Trustee Winston, Dr. Winston is absent with notice.
Thank you very much. There's a lot to digest this evening and quite a bit of information that our attorney, who's here, needs to share with us. So we are going to move into executive closed session at this point. May I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we move to closed session to discuss pending litigation. Anything else, sir? And collective bargaining matters. And what do we have? Will we talk about that later? Okay. And executive session minutes. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I really think we need to take a roll call vote. Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Burns?
Yes.
Trustee Jones? Absent with notice. Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Sapp, absent with notice. Trustee Sterling?
Yes.
And Trustee Winston, absent with notice.
Fantastic. We have quite a bit to discuss, as you can see, in executive session, but we will try to keep it moving and come back as soon as we can. May I have a motion to reconvene the committee as a whole meeting?
So moved.
May I have a second? Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Burns?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Present.
Trustee Jones? No, President at the moment, but is President of the meeting. Trustee Sapp is absent with notice. Trustee Sterling? And Trustee Winston is absent with notice.
Thank you. We have established that we still have, no, thank you for that. Can you call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Burns?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Here.
Trustee Jones is in the building but not present at the meeting. Trustee Sapp is absent with notice. Trustee Sterling?
Present.
And Trustee Winston is absent with notice.
It's been established that we still have a quorum, so we're going to move on with the remaining part of the agenda. It seems like it's robust and that it's a number of items. However, know that most of these are very, very brief, and we should be able to move through them like quickly. I'm going to ask Melanie Arnold, our engineer, to come, and while she's coming, I'm going to share with you that we have to do an annual hearing of our NPDES, and this time we also going to talk about the MS4 report, and you're on, Melanie.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Clerk, and Board of Trustees. Tonight, I just want to take a few minutes and read through with you all the information that is needs to be included on an annual basis for the village's NPDES permit. And I know for a few of you, this will be your first time going through this, so just like I said, it'll explain a little bit about the program, what the village is doing about it, and then I'll just have a little bit of ad lib at the end and then give you an opportunity to ask for questions if you have any. Background. Water pollution can degrade surface waters, making them uninhabitable for plants and wildlife, as well as making them unsafe for recreational uses such as fishing and swimming. As authorized by the Clean Water Act, the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDES for short, permit program controls water pollution by regulating storm sewers, ditches, and detention ponds and their tributary areas that may discharge pollutants into lakes, creeks, and rivers. In 2003, the Illinois EPA required all municipal separate storm sewer systems, also known as MS4s, to begin complying with statewide general permit conditions. Today, each MS4 is required to have a fully implemented program that addresses each of the 6 minimum controls, as identified by the EPA. Permits are renewed every 5 years, and the associated permit conditions are continually evolving. The primary goal of this program is to keep pollutants from entering into the village's storm sewer system, which eventually discharges to the Lincoln-Lansing Drainage Ditch or Deer Creek. The annual public meeting is required by IEPA in accordance with the village's Notice of Intent for the Illinois General Permit ILR 40. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the 6 minimum control measures that are stipulated by EPA. The MS4 program consists of 6 required minimum control measures, also known as MCMs. The 6 MCMs are as follows: public outreach and education on stormwater quality issues, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater runoff control in new developments or redevelopments, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping for municipal operations. And now here are a few examples of how Sauk Village is meeting each of these 6 MCMs. And I will just state, every municipality has, there are some requirements that everybody's required to do, but then there's a host of different programs that you can choose to implement as part of your program. Some municipalities do the bare minimum, others go above and beyond, and so there's different types of programs that each village can choose to adopt. And so these are some of the current MCMs the village is currently utilizing. Number 1, public education and outreach, notice of intent and annual report posted on the village's website. Information about recycling linked to the homepage of the village's website. Newsletter articles with MS4 content issued in the village's monthly Sauk Talk newsletter. 2, public involvement and participation. The village hosts an annual Earth Day event, as well as village cleanup days during the year. These events are publicized at village board meetings, at Village Hall, and posted on the village website. The village conducts tree limb and leaf collection pickups periodically throughout the year for all residents, and this public meeting is a required activity under this category. Number 3, illicit discharge detection and elimination. The village has identified all outfalls on a storm sewer map, which is maintained and updated periodically. Village staff inspects storm sewer outfalls and clean or repair outfalls as needed, which occurs on an annual basis. The village has an ordinance related to illicit discharge detection and elimination, which is used to address illegal discharges to village waterways. Number 4, control of construction site water runoff. The village has an ordinance in place to regulate erosion and sediment control for construction sites and resultant stormwater runoff. Erosion and sediment control best management practices, or BMPs, are required under the current ordinance, and the implementation of these measures is enforced through the plan review process. Proposed development projects are reviewed under local and MWRD ordinances by village staff and engineering consultants. Projects that disturb more than 1 acre are required to obtain a notice of intent permit prior to construction, and developers are required to prepare a stormwater pollution prevention plan as part of their engineering plans. Weekly inspection reports are required from developers of active construction projects. Periodic inspections are also conducted by village staff during construction to ensure erosion control measures are being properly utilized to prevent sediment runoff from entering the downstream system. Number 5, post-construction stormwater management. The village has a post-construction ordinance in place to address long-term control of stormwater pollution for the newly developed sites. Final inspections are required before the village will grant final acceptance of the project, and when applicable, long-term operation and maintenance plans are put in place prior to final acceptance or closeout of a development project. And finally, number 6, pollution prevention or good housekeeping. Village staff receive annual training on public works related topics such as chlorides requirements or tree trimming safety as examples. Sweeping of high priority streets is completed on a monthly basis between the months of April and October. Catch basins are inspected and cleaned as needed, and collected materials are properly disposed of. An annual report is made to IEPA each year by June 1st. The village utilizes Robinson Engineering to assist with all compliance efforts associated with the MS4 program. That actually concludes the written script that I was to provide to you tonight. Obviously, a few of these items, especially like items 4, control of construction site stormwater runoff, and 5, post-construction stormwater management, the village has not had development that's over an acre in quite some time, but these are still the requirements that the village sets forth. So if a project were to come in, these are the requirements that they would have to abide by. Also, I wanted to let you know that at the beginning of my discussion, where I talked about permits are renewed every 5 years, so the IEPA just came out with their newly updated permit within the last 6 months, and so that means that there will be new, and the cycle year runs March to March of each year. So this annual update that was just submitted, that was under the old permit. The new permit that just came out going forward, next year's annual report that we submit will be under the new permit. And as a result, there are going to be some additional requirements that will likely be required in your 6 minimum control measures. And so in the next couple weeks, I will probably be requesting to come back to another committee of the whole meeting to walk through a proposal for the village to update their notice of intent and it's called a SWIMP, which stands for Storm Water Management Plan. This is required because there is a chance, and it happens from time to time, that the IEPA will audit a municipality just to make sure that they're doing the things that they are supposed to be doing every year. And I actually just sat, and it's not that you've done anything wrong. I mean, you could be, if you were flagged for a reason, you might be required to do an audit, but it could just be your turn. It's just random. And I actually just sat through another audit for another community recently, and you definitely would want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row and really polish up your program. So I just wanted to let you know this is a good introduction tonight, but I will be coming back in the next couple weeks to discuss a proposal for updating the village's program to align with the new permits and updating your stormwater management plan. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
Since you mentioned the word audit, that kind of rang a bell. Do we have anything in writing to show that we are current in these systems? And when we do these systems, and mostly I'm interested in this. The village has identified all outfalls.
What number?
Number 3. The village has identified all outfalls on a storm sewage map, which is maintained and updated periodically. Do we have evidence of that?
We do.
Okay. And then the staff inspects storm sewer outfalls and cleans and repairs outfalls as needed. This work occurs on an annual basis. We have all of that in writing.
And so that is one of the things that we would talk about when we meet with, and to be very honest, the public works, there's been, several public works directors, and so that would be one of the things that when we meet, and that would be something that's typically, it would be handled by the public works department, so that's something when we would meet to update your stormwater, that's what we have said we are doing as part of the MS4 program. So when we would meet to go through your notice of intent and your stormwater management plan, we would utilize that time to kind of see if there are items that you want to add, make sure that you're doing all the things that you should be doing, and if you're not, get processes in place, train your current public works director, and probably put together like a standard operating procedure so that if there is a change in command there, that they're able to pick up the ball, because that is the thing. If you are audited, and it's usually, if you're audited and you're not doing the things that you say you're doing, you have 30 days to put an action plan into place. So they're not, and when you run into problems is if you say that you're going to do it, and then you don't, and once you're audited, that's when it becomes a problem. So when we would be updating your stormwater management plan later this summer, that would be, we'd be making sure that all the things you're doing, like prove that you're doing them, and if not, let's get some, documentation in place so that you make sure that you're starting to do it, because like I said, it is really truly a matter of time before it's Sauk Village's turn for the audit. And hopefully if you are doing everything, it's pretty minimal, and if not, then you have some work to do. So it's better to just do the work on the front end and make sure you're in compliance. So
thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Melanie, I'm going to say that we do not have an Earth Day event on April 22nd.
Yes, I meant to remove that from my script, and I had it crossed out in the script, but yes.
Okay, and then also I would like for you to acknowledge that Trustee Sterling works with the group of volunteers, and they do community cleanup, so I would like to make certain that they're
Perfect.
included in our next report.
Okay, will do.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. We're going to move on and add interim village administrator, Reggie Fitch, to come forward. And Anthony is going to talk about the CD origination, other renewal details, and then I'm going to ask that he just continue on with the request for qualifications for the economic development consultant, and put an ANT after consult, especially consultant.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, Trustees, and residents. So I guess the best thing for me to do is start with, from last Tuesday, we talked about the CDs. So I guess the easiest thing to do is just take questions. I replied back to the 21 questions that were sent to me via email, so I guess we'll go from there. Check. 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 No.
Okay. Did I see Trustee Johnson's hand before I move?
Yes, good evening. Clerk, can you pass these down for me, please? Yes. That's to me? Or to everybody? To everybody, yes.
This way. You got two. One.
So, Mayor, these are my extra questions. So the first one, as you see, I said the CD couldn't have been approved by the board on April 16th. Now, these are some of the answers that I responded back to what Mr. Finch had emailed me. It couldn't have been approved on April 16, 2019. That day was a committee meeting, and the footage is on YouTube. There's no documentation to support that date. Where did Mr. Finch get the date and the amount from? It's possible that he got April 19th date from the emails that were attached to the supporting documents, but those are from 2024, and no village CD was approved on that date either. The clerk never could have provided a copy of the board agenda, minutes, motions, resolution, or ordinance authorizing the original investments from that date because it was incorrect. Mr. Finch and the finance director need to pay more attention to detail when it comes to our village finances, and especially when it details with reporting regarding large amounts. I asked for the Old National Bank Certificate of Deposit Agreement, account documentation, maturity date, and maturity instructions. Mr. Finch answered C, support. Where is most recent agreements? Why did Mr. Finch only email the 2024 agreement? If Mr. Finch or anyone in the finance department has copies of our CD agreement, they need to be forwarded to the board immediately. Also, if other agreements are available, then I consider this report or answer sheet by Mr. Finch incomplete. Where did the total interest amount come from? We are not given any documentation to support that number. If so, many of the other facts and figures so far have been wrong. How can we trust the numbers without documentation? Mr. Finch said the CD matured or was closed on April 30th, 2026. The finance director did his CD presentation before the board on May 5th. Now with that, Mayor, on the documentation that I see right here that he emailed me, the top list, can you pass it to her because she may not have a copy real quick?
I have it.
You have it?
Email?
Yes, the second page, Mayor. If you look very closely, it is small. It says 5-1. You see it, the first one? That's when they transferred it. We had our meeting May 5th. Why wasn't that presented to the board then? Or even stated to us that day? Everybody was quiet. No one said that. So, Finance Director said that the CD matured or expired on either May 15th or the end of the month of May. Did the Finance Director know the money had been moved from one account to another? Why wasn't the board informed that the money was moved during this presentation? Why wasn't this presented to the board sooner so that we could have given input on what happened with the CD or funds? The mayor authorized the transfers, so why did she sit silently while we got a false presentation based off of the incorrect, misleading information? And the mayor, I said that because I reviewed the footage and you really didn't say anything, but in his answers to me, I don't know if you have a copy, but I will show you real quick. He stated that you gave the CD, that you gave permission. Did you review that?
I would have had to have given the permission. However, it was not written, if I'm not mistaken. If anything, it was by telephone. Okay? So there would not have been the documentation that you so often see.
Okay. Well, why ask him to make such a petty correction? Meaning, why didn't he just come out and tell the truth? Why did he point fingers directly at the mayor when he was just, he just came out and told the truth? What else? I felt that they should have paid more attention to proper information and informing the board to that matter. Mayor, I feel like these questions that he sent me as an email, I don't know if you have a copy in front of you. Is there anything out there?
No, I don't.
Can I have a mic? Somebody please. Thank you. Yeah, it's going in and out. So, do you have a copy of this, his answers?
I don't have it here with me.
Can you pass it to the mayor, please, so she can review it? You done? So on the third page, that was in our packet, he gave information about our old interim village administrator, Kim Johnson. On the third page, if you go on the side, it says automatic renewals. You can read that passage over there, and it will tell you that even, I'm gonna break it down into my understanding, that even if they don't call, the CD automatically renews within 10 days, okay? You can see it in the corner. So why he didn't let it sit there, or either let the board know ahead of time. They did it on the 1st, we had a meeting on the 5th. It should have been discussed with us, that's all I'm saying to you.
I hear you. But we do not have automatic renewal.
It says it in the corner, did you read the corner?
I didn't read the corner,
Okay.
but I know that we don't have automatic renewal.
Right here. I would like to put that on record, clerk. And a document gave all to the board, I would like to put that in on record as well.
I don't see that. But thank you, it is for the record. It is for the record, okay? So, well, this is an email that was sent today. Right, no, it was an email that was sent today. Okay? No, it was emailed today. And you know, no? I got it today. I got it today, so I don't know. And I'm looking at your concern. How would you like us to handle the questions of concern?
I would like to handle it this time because I'm sorry, I would like for you to handle it this time because I'm feeling like I'm being misled. And I don't think me nor our board members should be misled when it comes to our village finances, especially with this CD. So I'm asking that you pay very close attention and you review everything, and can you get back to the board with some solid answers for us, please? But I do need that paper back, if you don't mind. The questions that I printed out, yes. Yes.
I will, but know that I may not be able to get back to you in 30 hours or 72 hours the way you usually like, because there's so much going on. But I will get back to you. I think that other trustees had things that they wanted to talk to about relative to the CD as well, because right now it is still in Old National Bank in a dedicated, the CN account that is not used for anything else other than some funds that the CN Railroad gave us a number of years ago, but it has certain stipulations, so that's why it's called restricted, so we can't use those funds. However, I know that we don't want all of that money just sitting there in an account that's not interest bearing. So at some point in time, we are going to have to bring some closure to this matter so that that money can be making monies for us. It's one of the only avenues that we have where we can acquire interest. Does anyone else have anything they want to say, or how do we want to handle this at this point? Okay, one moment. Oh, I thought he was going to say something. No? Yes, ma'am. Try not to hit the mic, just to blow into it or say testing, please. Thank you.
So I did have some questions, and I did get a response. So I do appreciate the administration's response. However, several answers indicated that the key bank records have not yet been provided. As trustees, our fiduciary responsibility requires us to review actual authorization documents, banking records, and transfer paperwork. Until those records are received, questions still remain regarding the authorized of the release. You did just confirm there that you did give the authorization by phone, but what other process was followed? I want to know, as far as what document authorized the transfer, as far as if no wire, what authorization is listed? Because if you actually take it out, it's in the same bank, so they can how did they transfer it?
So, as the mayor said, it was a phone call. So it was verbal between the mayor and the bank, and that's all that really took place to move the money. When the CD matured, it's like I said last week, you have two options: take the money out the bank or leave it at the bank. The conversation was to leave it at the bank in an account that we really do not use. So there was no transfers, there was no wires, there was no checks, nothing like that. So it did not physically leave the bank at all.
Okay. When was the request made to the bank? Who made the request, and what is the expected delivery date as far as us to actually see the documents from the bank?
Well, because we just got our website back, whatever documents, I will get that from the bank, because we did not get any external emails, so I'll work on that this week. So you should have that by Friday. Your first part of the question, when it took place May 1st.
May 1st?
Yes.
And then we don't have any documentation from there.
No, because it was all verbal. It was all verbal. And one thing I want to say, because it was incorrectly spoken earlier, I did make the transfer, and I wasn't here that week on May 5th. So that was an incorrect, very, very incorrect statement. So I could not have said something when I was not in the building. But let me address these 21 questions. Most of those questions and answers are very straightforward. As far as April 16, 2019, that was not the day that the board approved minutes. That was the day that the money was placed in a CD. That was the day that was confirmed. It was locked into a CD. Now, what relevance 2019 has to do with 2026, I have no clue. But that's a wild goose chase, and so let it be. But as far as the other 21, majority of the question, they're very straightforward. It asks about interest. It asks about how much money was in the CD on a particular date, how much money was placed in the CN on a particular date. Those two amounts are identical. So to say that playing with money or whatever, again, that's a far stretch. But as far as referencing the previous VA and all that, and as well, you notice the person did not mention the treasurer, allegedly. This process has been going on since 2019. And the process is, the CD is locked up. The difference between this year and last year was the VA and the finance director chose, without board approval correctly, to leave it in the CD. This particular year, it was chosen not to put it back in the CD until the board approved 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. So again, I'm kind of perplexed with the difficulties of what's the issue with this $1 million. The interest is still there. The statement that was provided to you show you the amount that was put in the bank account. So the question is eventually how much money is going to be put in the CD for how long a period of time. All this other stuff really is just grandstanding.
I have a question. You mentioned that there were a lot of records that were still needed. Can you tell me what records exactly you're talking about?
Use your mic, please.
I can go back to those questions in a few, but if
Okay,
I
but
respond.
then, you know what? Can you just email
No, I
it to
cannot.
me?
Oh, yes, I can. I can email it to you. Okay, so back to my response. I apologize about that, but, I wanted to address what we're talking about. Okay, so as far as for the, as you say, the hold up on what you're confused about, that it did not come before the board first. That's one of our oversights to see what is going on, and for you all to do that transfer without the board's approval, that's a lot of money. So my eyebrows have raised. I do have a question about that. As far as the $1,086,000 from the CD was deposited, and the current balance is now $1,115,482. Can administration explain what makes up that additional balance in that account? Your response states that the CD redeemed for $1,086,066.02, but the current balance provided is $1,115,482.97. Can administration explain the difference of the $29,416.95? Can you identify whether that amount reflects to the prior funds, or is it due to the additional deposits or accrued interest?
Actually, it's neither. Prior to May 1st, in the CN account, it was a balance of $29,000. The trustees that was here previous administration, there's reports that used to be given of cash balances. This is in 23, 2024. If they look on those reports, you will see 29,000 is roughly some change, because you do accrue earned interest periodically every month. So the 29,000 is a balance that's probably been in that bank account since at least 2020. It has something related to years ago when Canadian National Railroad came and did a project in Sauk Village, and those funds was going to be allocated to the residents of Sauk Village to do noise reduction. That, what was left over, was remaining in our bank account for $29,000. So again, if you're referencing back to 2019, those funds was in those same bank account in 2019. So that's where it comes from. It's not additional funds that was added to the CD. It's not additional interest that was added to the CD. It was in this particular bank account. 29,000 has been there for at least 4 or 5 years. Remain in account, remain untouched, and also remain labeled as unrestricted funds. You can, for your cash reports from 3 years ago, and you will see it was labeled as unrestricted fund as well as the balance. So no, it didn't have nothing to do with additional funds.
Is your question or comment, is it for Trustee Jones? Is something else? Okay, have you finished?
Yes, I'm about to say.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, my question to you was, how did they retrieve these documents when, in the beginning, when you first started, they said all the documents were destroyed? How did they get these financial documents? We didn't have financial documents when we was doing the audits. They couldn't find anything. But all of a sudden, we have financial documents now. Where did this come from?
I know one thing, even though mine is stapled together, they're not all the same.
I understand, but
It's not
my
all
question
one
is, how
document.
did they retrieve old documents when it was stated to this whole board and to the residents? Everything was destroyed and shredded.
No, everything was not, and I'll be upfront with that. What happened, we asked the former IT company to forward to me any and all emails from the former Mayor Derek Burgess.
How did you get into his email?
I did not, that's what I'm saying. You didn't give me a chance to finish. That piece never occurred. So anything, any email that he had, I had no access to. And that's what caused some of our other drama that we don't need to go into right now. However, prior to this, if I'm not mistaken, Finch was able to access Renee Lewis's email from, peer to peer. So that's how come he had an access to certain things that I never had the access to. Okay? That's it. Anyone else? Well, typically, let me share with you.
Remember, I told you that my emails was getting hacked.
No.
You just admitted that he went
I
into a
didn't
previous.
admit anything.
Okay.
I didn't admit anything. I'm trying
So
to
how did
answer
you
your
get-
question. I'm certain whoever was IT did that for him, and that was, what's the company? The Barack, not Barack, but it was NTG did that for him. They did not do that with me, even though they were requested at least 4 times. It was never forthcoming. Okay? Did you have something, Trustee?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, just to make sure that I'm getting everything correct, our CD at this point is $1,086,6602, correct? That's what we are right now. And this $1,086,000 has the $29,000. Is that a part of this number?
No.
The total balance is 1.1 and some change. The 29,000 is part of that total.
So we took the CD money out of the CD and we put it into the central account that had the 29,000.
The CN account, yes.
Right. So
Because we did not want to have to go to the bank and get the money and bring it here. They gave us a choice, and that was to put it in another account. The bank Thank you. We followed the bank's advisement, and that is to find a restricted account to place the money in. Otherwise, they would be returning all of that money to the village. It was their recommendation, and we accepted their recommendation. Given that they thought that it would be a very seamless way, it would be a very safe practice, and that is to place it somewhere where we don't have to, no one would have to worry about it getting commingled and paid out with some of our other bills, because the account that it was placed in is a restricted account, so we could not even have access to that. Just as if we had purchased another CD. The only difference is we are not getting interest in that account. That's the only difference, but no one can touch those funds. Whereas if it was placed in our general account, it could have been used for another reason. And it was anticipated that it would not be in that account for as long as it has been. We thought that we would have finalized this entire process and we would be going about happily on our way to getting returns from that money. Trustee Burns, one more time, and then we're going to go to Johnson.
Yes, so Mr. McMillan, the finance director, kept speaking of transferring $1 million, putting $1 million into the CD. If there's 1.8, why are we only dealing with $1 million?
It was their recommendation, and I really don't want to speak for them, but I don't want to overspeak either, because I do respect the administrators, and I believe that they have every right to share what their interpretation was and their meaning was. So I do want to give either Fred an opportunity or Anthony before I just state what it is.
Well, part of the reason, trustee, is kind of what was just recently discussed in executive session. And if you recall last week, I kept stressing the point about cash flow. So take the knowledge what you guys got told in executive session and understand how cash flow works in our property taxes coming in slowly. We need as much access to funds that we know we're going to disperse in the next 2 to 3 months. So that's the reason. And then also, you got to remember too, the original amount was not $1 million. $173,000 was transferred, which I mentioned on my notes last week, from the water fund. And one of my recommendations was to put that money back into the water fund. So whether that's going to be allowed by this board, we was at least saying take the $86,000 that we know we earn in interest and put that back in the general fund to be dispersed for operation expenses. If that's what the board chooses. But we know we have certain obligations that's coming forth that's outside of the normal operation of the village.
So all the board is asking, if these are and I understand cash flow, and you did explain to us quite eloquently, you did explain that there's a time period when our village does have a lack of cash flow. So I do understand that. I am asking that when these things take place, that the administration explain these things to the board, because if we see 1.8 in an account and you're only telling us to put in $1 million, then we need an explanation as to where's the other 86 going. So now if there's a situation where we borrow money from the water fund, now you know, as well as I know, that when we borrow from the water fund, the board is supposed to know that. And we did not know that. So no one told the board that money was borrowed from the water fund. And when we borrow from the water fund, because we've gone through this under the previous administration, when we borrow from the water fund, it is an approval from the board to do that. The board did not approve borrowing that large sum of money from the water fund. And we also made it very clear that when we borrow it, it needs to be listed as borrowed, and we need a payback date. None of that was done. So you have to understand, all of you have to understand our concern that we're finding out that $173,000 was taken out of our water fund without board approval. And we're $86,000 of the $1 million is going to be put back into the water fund, which is still not the total amount. And we have no plan, or no plan has been discussed, as to how we're planning to repay our water fund back $173,000. Now, we got the $86,000. What comprehensive plan do we have to pay back the rest? Now, I'm saying this because we've gone down this road before, and we all know that no $173,000 should be borrowed from this water fund without board approval. We all know that.
It's going to get better.
Okay, no, let me finish.
Still dealing with the CD.
Okay, this is about the CD because this is about the CD because it's 108, it's 1.8, but we're asking to take the 86 and put it into to pay the water fund back. I'm asking for the finance director, the village administrator, to give us a comprehensive plan on how you all plan to pay back the $173,000 back to the water fund.
Okay, sir, Andy, would you please do that? Not
Yes.
this minute, but yes, please take care of that. Trustee Johnson, you come.
I would like to know.
Oh, excuse me. Trustee Johnson?
So my question, Mayor, is this. Why, okay, if this money was taken May 1st, we had a meeting on the 5th, a whole presentation, a committee of the whole meeting. Why the finance and Mr. Finch did not tell us then? They said we had until the 15th or to the end of the month. They could have just told us they already proceeded with what they needed to proceed with moving the CD or transferring it. I didn't find out until that message that Michelle sent an email to Finch and it got forwarded to me. That's how it brought my antennas up on the situation. So again, if it was already done on the 1st, which is in documentation on page 2 of the information he gave us, it was done on the 1st, why waste our time for that conversation on the 5th? And why wasn't it spoken to the board about that it was moved in instead of saying the 15th and we have it to the 30th? You could have just said it was already done. Be honest with us.
Okay, and I am going to speak to the administration about maintaining overall honesty at all costs. And I can't express it any other way. Okay? Trustee Jones?
I would like that same information that Ms. Burns, Trustee Burns just asked about.
I believe what we will do is, once it's gathered, it will be shared with everyone. I'm hoping that we will not have to wait to another committee of the whole meeting before, in order for us to discuss some more. I'm hoping that when it comes to you as a narrative by email, that's something that we can get addressed and move forward so that we can finally decide what are we going to do with this $1 million. What are we going to do with it? Do we want to see it grow? What are we going to do? After we answer all of the questions, some we can answer, some we can't. I can't answer all of them. I don't have all the answers, but I'll do my very best to get the answers so that we can move on. And I am going to ask, please, let us move
I
on.
am, Mayor, but this is extremely important. I must say this. At this point, because of $173,000 was removed from this water fund without board approval, I am saying, as of right now, the board wants to see an accounting of the water fund on a week-to-week basis. That was a tremendous amount of money moved from our fund without board approval. And had not several of us caught that, we still would know to this
And
day.
realistically, and I'm not saying you're being unreasonable, but realistically, when you consider that the board allocates money through accounts payable every 2 weeks and not every week. So that's how come I'm saying
That's fine.
every week.
Every 2 weeks.
It would produce for you what you would want. So we will include that in the financial
Yes.
report going forward, every 2 weeks, not every week.
Yes.
Are we going to anybody else? Because we got to move on. It's 20 minutes to, and you know our residents get really upset when we go further than 10 o'clock. And so for that reason, Anthony, I'm going to ask you to move forward with your item B.
Item B is the request for qualification for economic development consultant. We have one firm, Better City, that provided information. You guys should have that in your packet.
How come some files are blue and others are black and white? Mine is black and white.
She printed.
Oh, you printed yours, okay. Okay. KP? Okay. Are there any questions to that proposal, the request for qualifications? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Finch, so what are you asking us? You just want us to review this, or are you trying to get this to be moved forward? What are you
No,
asking?
just review it, and if you have any questions, we can address it. But eventually, we will come back, myself or the finance director will come back with probably a recommendation to go with this company if that's what. If you guys have any questions about it, but as right now, this is the only company that had applied. There was some stipulation that we wanted them to adhere to. So this would better city answer our questions. So now it's just a matter of time for you guys to review it and then go from there.
Did they provide you with references?
I think so. I don't know what pages are, but yes, they did. I remember seeing it.
Trustee Jones.
Okay, so this is the only consultant that we've received?
I think we had three, including this one made three, that requested information, but the other two did not send the package back. So we had three, but this is the only one to turn in anything by the deadline.
Okay, and then we did have one more person, which was Mr. Lockwood. That was a consultant that was brought before us several times. So the comparison, and also my biggest concern from these pages is that the consultant is necessarily not saying that it's unqualified. It's that the proposal appears to be focusing more so on planning committees, outreach, and development relationships, while very little information is about the accountability, measurable results, board oversight, and the costs. I don't see anything with that in this packet. Those are the areas where the trustees should push the hardest before approving anything. We can look over it, but I need to know the monthly fee, the hourly rate, travel expenses. I don't see any of that in here.
So, Mr. Finch, appears to me there's some unreadiness at this point. I'm going to ask that you take the concerns that were raised by trustee into consideration and then make a determination what are our next steps. We're going to move on. It's on me. You guys, we asked to have this place on this week's agenda, and that's for the appointment of the commissioner to fire and police commission. And I shared with you last week why I wanted to bring someone before you. However, I wanted to present the name before you again. I presented the person before, but we didn't want him to come later without
And so I keep hearing that it's someone that you want to recommend. Did that recommendation come from the commission board itself? Because I am of the opinion that it is the commission board that has to work with these commissioners. It is through the commission board that the recommendation should come, not from the mayor or the trustees. That is their commission board. They know what they need. They are the ones that need to train, seek out the people, and any recommendations that we have for a commission board should go to the commissioner of that board. They need to interview those people, interview their credentials, and they, the commission board, should make the recommendation to the mayor as to who they want to be a part of their commission board because they've interviewed and gone over credentials. I don't believe that anyone who's not a part of that commission should be recommending anyone to their board. It is their board. And only they should be recommending to us who they want and who they have chosen is qualified to sit on their board.
Thank you for expressing that, and this is what I'm going to do, Trustee Burns. I am going to invite you to visit the Illinois State Statute as well as the Village of Sauk Village Code of Ordinances relative to the appointment, not only for the Commissioner for the Fire and Police Commission, but that for the Zoning Board, for the Housing Board, if we ever get another Housing Commission, and for any other committee, even down to when we had the Beautification Committee. I'm going to invite you to check rules and regulations before you state something like that, and especially in open, because it clearly states that the mayor appoints with trustees' approval.
I did not doubt that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Mayor.
We're not going to bug state law.
We're not. No, Mayor.
No, and don't start raising your voice.
I am not raising my voice.
Yes, you are.
You're speaking something that I did not say that you didn't appoint. I did not mention that. I said that the recommendation for you to appoint should come from the commission.
Thank you. I heard you. You know,
I want to make sure
okay, I heard it.
That is
but
stated.
Now we're going to still follow state. Does anyone else?
The state says you can appoint, but I'm saying the appointment needs to come from the commitment. The
Trustee
committee.
Johnson has the floor. Thank you.
I wasn't done.
Trustee Johnson, please proceed.
So again, the committee needs to send the appointment to you.
Change the ordinance then, okay? You have to change the ordinance.
I do have an ordinance. I do have an ordinance, but with the attorney. Is the attorney still here?
No, he's gone.
I submitted an ordinance for the commission board several months to the attorney.
Okay.
So before we move forward, the attorney needs to get that back to me, because again, you can appoint with the consent of the board, but the appointment needs to come from the commission.
Not necessarily. We're not going to change.
Not necessarily. That is the proper way to do it, and that is in the statute.
Show me where it's
right here on my phone.
I said, show me where it's
I'm showing you.
I can't see your
okay, but I will send it to you.
Send it to
so
me. Thank you.
The recommendations need to come from the board.
Thank you.
And then you can appoint.
I'll await.
You can appoint according to the recommendation from the commission board. That's how we do that.
Thank you. No, that's not how we do it. That's what you want. But
no.
We don't do. This is not the Burns show.
This is a trustee show, and the trustee is saying it is not your job to choose who these people want on there. But the state statute says that the commission board send to you their recommendation, and then you can appoint. That's what. Yes.
Okay. Let's move on. We beg to differ, so we will definitely have to do further research.
We will do research.
Trustee Johnson, please.
Absolutely.
Mayor, your recommendation of that individual, I am totally not approving of that at all, because that person has a history. A lot of residents know about that history, and it's not a good thing. I'm pretty sure that the people that's sitting on that police and fire commission would not even accept a situation like that with that individual sitting on that board. and I don't understand why you didn't reveal it to the rest of the board. I know it cannot be discussed in executive session, but I feel like this time I should not be that individual to expose that person's history.
I don't think that's necessary either.
Okay, so
because we do believe
why
in
didn't you
redemption.
be open, Mayor, and tell the board members about this individual that you're picking?
It's not for me
Our
to do
police
that.
chief would not agree to this situation. No, it's not even that. The history of that individual is the problem. Our police chief, I guarantee you, will not approve of this individual. I'm sorry. At all.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to let
Point
them know, the board know, and the residents know what I'm talking about, Mayor?
No, I'm not.
That's why
No.
the appointment needs to come from the commission, not the mayor.
So,
Because the mayor is trying to appoint somebody to this commission to
Excuse
find
me.
the police that absolutely have no
Ma'am,
business being
You are out
appointed
of
there.
order. Someone else has the floor.
So,
Please
Mayor,
continue.
are you putting me in the hot seat to reveal?
No, I'm going to very respectfully ask you not to do that. Excuse
Will you
me.
be reconsidering?
We can withdraw that individual from
Can you?
consideration. It doesn't matter. But
Because you know what the deal is. You shouldn't have never done that. And that's why we're adamant that it needs to come from the commission, because it's coming from you, and you know the history of this individual, and yet you're willing to put them on the fire and police commission.
I believe in redemption, ma'am.
It's no
I
redemption,
believe-
not to that,
I
Mayor.
believe-
Oh,
I
no.
believe in redemption.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Now.
Not with that one.
Now. Do you just want to keep pushing that point? Or will you accept the fact that I have stated?
You're going to
that
get
I've
everything the
heard
police
you.
department is standing
Wait a
for.
minute.
Mayor.
Hear me.
You can't.
I said that I withdraw that person from consideration.
Thank you so much.
So why are we still here?
Because the residents needs to know what
No,
we're
they
speaking
don't need to know
of.
that man's business.
Police chief, do you know in reference? No.
Please, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
Well,
that.
thank you for withdrawing. And this is
Thank
why
you.
I stood on what I was
Thank
saying
you.
up there
Thank
at the board
you.
meeting.
Okay,
All
it's
right.
withdrawn. I'm going to entertain one more question, and then we're going to move on. The time is getting late.
So,
Please don't hit the top of the mic.
as far as for the person that you wanted to appoint, I need to know that information. This
You
is
all can
something
have that
will-
conversation separately. It's not anything, no. It's nothing for a public meeting. This is this man's personal life that you're talking about.
But Mayor, it wasn't
No.
personal when you was vouching for this man and to sit on a police
As
and fire
I-
commission.
as
We
I-
already bad enough on our
I
zoning board
said
and
that
messed
I
up.
believe-
With a convicted felon on our zoning board. What are you doing here?
Okay,
I
so
believe-
What are you doing here?
I wasn't
She
done.
has the
I wasn't
floor.
done speaking. I don't appreciate getting cut off like that.
I'm sorry.
It starts from our leader. As far as for that, this right here, it saddens me because this was somebody we were going to go in blindsided on. I had no clue of what's going on. Now, it doesn't have to be openly in the public, but I would like to know what's going on in this.
Thank you. To address it right now, that means we are in the public, so that's something that we would have to find a way to have a conversation for you to have a greater understanding, but it is still not for anyone here to state exactly. The man, it was alleged, it was never charged. But let's move on because it is 5 minutes to 10 now, and all I'm going to do with mine, the information that I had, I provided a quick reference guide because the attorney has attempted to provide information on the difference between out of order, point of information. Now it's called request for information. And it comes up repeatedly, and there is a difference. There is a prime difference in our awareness of which interrupts, which can interrupt a speaker who's on the floor, and which ones do not. I'm going to ask that you read through this. We can't go through it tonight. Hopefully you did get it on Friday. You have a little cheat sheet there as well that talks about the key differences. It's a summary of it. That's on page 3 of it. And just look at it, just so that when we present ourselves as this board, that we do so in a very informed manner, and that we utilize the guide. This is from Robert Rules of Order, parliamentary. I see you, trustee. Robert Rules of Order. This is not something that I made up. This is from Robert Rules of Order, combination. And then I also use an AI system in my Google search as well, just so that I can break it down, because a lot of times what is in parliamentary procedures is, it doesn't make it very, very clear. And I just really wanted to help ease our path as we move forward. And just know, when you know better, we do better. That's another one of my mantras. If we know better, we do better. And this is giving you, in black and white relief, when we can interrupt, when we cannot, and what type of information comes when we mention one of these 3 sources, okay? And that's all I need to say from there. But if I need to address a trustee, because I see a hand raised, I'll do that now.
Thank you, Mayor. On your document that you provided for us, you had point of order, but the title says point of order versus point of information, request of information. I'm noticing that on this document it says point of order. It doesn't have a number 2, which should have been point of information. So I did the research. Can you pass this down to the rest of the trustees, please? So they can have it for their reference. It's one for you too, and the mayor. On this document, it does state point of information. Because on your documents, Mayor, unfortunately, it didn't have anything about point of information. It only had point of order and request for information, and that's not the same as a point of information. No, it's not. If I highlighted where it says point of information specifically. No, you didn't leave it out. It's not there. You had 2 number 3s on there. The main
so one of them should have been number 2.
Exactly. The main reason I did this is because I'm the trustee that always calls out the point of information. And I want my board members to be able to have access to this, Mayor, and to be able to use this.
Whichever one they use,
Mayor,
use it.
Mayor,
just use it, but
Mayor,
just use it and use it the right way.
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm vouching for you, trustee. Right, I'm saying you did a wonderful job, and I'm asking your trustees to follow what you put together.
But Mayor, does it make it right that you cutting me off in the middle?
It doesn't make it right, but so I'm looking at the fact that it's 10 o'clock,
some type of order.
And you're going through this because Mayor, I left out number 2.
If you let me keep the floor, then you keep interrupting me. It won't last for long.
Continue.
Okay. So the point of information on yours, it did not have it on there. So if you was going to give out information, give out the information that your title is pertaining to. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. I'll be more careful. And I'm
That's okay.
sorry, though, that I
That's
even
okay.
had to do this.
You didn't have to
because
do
you
it.
guys have Robert Rules of Order, and you could have
And
checked
it
it
doesn't
yourself.
give a clear understanding in your version of the Robert Rules of Order, so therefore I had to do research because it was a whole debate,
But you know-
especially with our attorney, which he's an alderman in Calumet City, so he should know this off the top of his hand.
Well, he did.
And he did it because he went against it and had to prove
Okay, you can
asked him wrong.
de-escalate. No, because
I'm
he
letting you
definitely
know.
stated
No.
that he's told you,
No,
he's
and
told
he gave me the
us.
wrong information, and I have it on recording. So
Okay.
therefore, everyone needs to understand what important information
Okay,
is.
do
It's in
this
black and
for me,
white.
everybody. Okay,
Okay?
thank
It's
you.
in black and white.
Please do your own research and acquire
I
your
highlighted
own
it for you
knowledge
too, board members, in
and
yellow.
act accordingly. Thank you. And read what she highlighted for you, and then make certain that it's correct. Thank you very much for your attention to that. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I know that our clerk is going to talk about it going forth as well, but I felt the need to discuss email distribution and communication between trustees, because about a week ago we had a little conflict, and fortunately it didn't spill over to the public, not during the public meeting, but it did take place. So all I'm going to say, and the clerk has come back and clarified, if you want to share something with all of the trustees, please share it with the clerk and ask the clerk to share it with the other trustees. If you do not want your information shared, and it's just my personal opinion, and I may be wrong, but I don't think that you have to deliberately say, do not share what I wrote with the others, okay? But if you want it shared, most definitely do so. But just know that whether it's me sharing, whether it's the clerk sharing, and it's more than just the two of us who can communicate with all of the trustees without it being a violation of the Open Meetings Act. But we had too much. Mr. Finch, please don't leave us. I mean, Mr. Sapp.
Oh, no, ma'am, I'm taking the call.
Okay, I'm sorry. You okay? We want you to communicate. We want us to resolve as much as we can in the back, or however it is that we can, without it coming to the floor here. It would definitely do us well to make certain that we have a clear understanding of what we want, how we want, and we're expressing ourselves. Because all of us are, most of us are very emotional beings. Not one of us is not necessarily. But let's just be careful with how we communicate and what we share and how we share it. I'm going to ask Mr. Fred McMillan to come up. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Trustee Johnson.
Mayor, is there any way that we can table item D? Because I feel like it's backwards. I feel like our finance director should have been speaking on the CD, and our interim village administrator should have been speaking on IT services.
And
so
that's-
is there any way can we table that until another?
I'm going to ask that respectfully that we don't table it, because we need IT.
I know we need it, but
We
I feel like why is
need-
our finance director speaking on IT when it should
Okay,
come from our
if you
interim
asked a
village-
question, so are you going to give me an opportunity to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. In this instance, he's speaking because I noticed, I can't remember who sent an email asking who was part of the evaluation team and who led the evaluation team. In this instance, it was the finance director who led the team that did the evaluation. if you can remember also, when those bids came in, I also asked if a trustee would be interested in serving on the evaluation team. One trustee said yes, and that person was on there. But that's the reason. That's okay. You don't have to, because remember, you're not always at the meetings when we do things. So that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just like last week, I mean no disrespect to you.
That was very disrespectful, and I'm going to address it right here and right now.
No, I'm going
When
to ask
any
Fred
of us,
McMillan.
when any of us trustees, you brought it up, so it's got to be addressed, because we won't have to do this again. We have a right to be able to call in if we have business or other things, and you know that. I do not want you to put any of us trustees on Front Street if we have to utilize our rights to either call in or be absent. That is not fair, it is improper, and it is disrespectful.
And I don't mean to be
But
disrespectful.
you did, and I'm letting you know, we have followed protocols, every one of us. And if we follow protocols, that is not for you to try to throw any of that back in our face.
And it wasn't
Ever.
thrown
I do not ever.
back in
Yes,
your
it was.
face. No,
You
it wasn't.
singled me out and said you're not always at the meeting. You have trustees that are not. We have people who has to be absent at some points or another all the time. And you have never said that to anyone else, so I'm going to address it. Do not, I'm asking you, do not, because this has been a problem, do not mess with us trustees. Again, please, if we follow protocol and if we're not at these meetings, if you're absent, I have nothing to say because I have no right to say it. Now, we've been over this, so now I'm publicly saying, if we follow protocol, leave us alone, and please do not address this publicly if we're following protocol. Please, because that is totally out of order.
And I'm going to explicitly state that you can and you do, not just you, but any of us. We're off whenever we need to be. But you're the only one who stated that you didn't hear us asking for someone to serve.
That is irrelevant to this conversation.
It's not irrelevant.
I stated.
It's
so
not.
But whatever,
Do you read your minutes?
whatever reason, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
No, because
that is
if
irrelevant.
you read your minutes, even if you
Mayor,
weren't here,
if a
you know that we asked.
if a trustee states that they didn't get information or if they didn't hear information, all I need you to do and we need you to do is to provide it. But to try to say that I'm not here, you are out of order.
Okay, I'm out of order. Now let's move
So
on.
don't let it happen again, please, respectfully.
Trustee Johnson.
But Mayor, as I was saying, getting back to the topic, the statement you just made had nothing to do in reference to the IT services. I just honestly feel like he shouldn't be speaking on nothing dealing with IT. It should have came from our interim village administrator. That's all I'm saying at this point.
And I heard you say that, but then likewise, and I had a trustee to nod her head, because in the midst of all of this, we did have a trustee. I'm attempting to meet each one of you where you are and to answer whatever it is that you want answered. But we had a trustee specifically wanting to know who was on that evaluation team and who led it up. So maybe I erred. Wait, can I finish?
What does that have to do with IT?
Can I finish? Thank you. So maybe my error is attempting to give you too much information. I'm trying to, when I'm answering your questions, maybe I'm trying to meet each one of you where you've asked me. You are wanting to know who. So the person who led the evaluation would be the one who would address the recommendations. He's the same one that gave the recommendation for the previous. And now we didn't accept that one, so now he's presenting the alternate. He was the lead for that evaluation team. Someone else, as I said, asked who else made up the evaluation team. That's what I was attempting to do. But moving forward, Mr. McMillan, can you please just at least hear the recommendation and why? It's not a vote or anything like that, but we got to get an IT service in the village of Sauk Village, in the police department, and we need them with public works, especially with the water.
Why is he presenting it?
I shared with
In
you,
the finance department. But
Be-
go ahead, I'm listening.
he's procurement
I don't know
also.
what you're gonna say.
Thank you, sir.
Well, good evening to all of you, first of all. And I agree with Trustee Johnson in one regard. As a professional,
Can you give him a mic?
person, my first recommendation to you is that you should first disapprove or reject or approve the first presentation, which you tabled and did not take a vote. So I would personally recommend that you you either deny that person or approve that person before you hear the alternate. But my job here today is to recommend PACE as the second or the alternative IT service provider. They came in second in our evaluations, and you guys you should have their proposal and you should have our recommendation letter in your packet. I'll answer any questions you got.
Trustee Jensen?
Why did you even volunteer to do this presentation as far as IT work, knowing that you're in our finance department? Not to mention, last board meeting, you forgot an important amount to add on to our accounts payable. So why would you take on this?
I'm sorry, I
You
forgot.
forgot an amount to add on to our finance that we need to pay out for accounts payable last week at the board meeting.
What amount was that?
Oh, you tell me. You're the finance director.
Now, you'll have to tell me because I
you
don't
said it.
recall leaving out an amount.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Well,
said
you can
right
tell
there.
me. We won't play a guessing game.
No,
you
I'm
can tell
not.
me.
But you the finance, you're supposed to know these numbers like this, sir. When we call.
No, I don't know the
You're the
numbers
finance
like
director.
that.
So you took the lead on telling us about PACE for IT service. Why do you feel that you were best qualified to do that instead of the interim village administrator? It's like y'all flipped roles today. He spoke on the CD, which I felt like, sir, you should have been speaking on the CD because you're the finance director.
In a
He
lot
should
of
have been speaking on the IT services because he's the interim village administrator. Can you agree to that, sir?
no, I won't.
Oh, you
In a
won't.
lot
Yeah,
of
I see you
government
won't.
entities.
So why are you still here, sir? Because the door is right there.
In a lot of government entities, the finance team will include your IT department, and I have managed an IT department.
Well, can you admit that you have not been doing excellent with these numbers with the Board of Trustees, especially for accounts payable?
I did not put together the account payable
So
number.
what do you do, sir, in the finance
I
department?
don't do anything. now.
Exactly. So why are you still here, sir?
I don't know. You guys.
Mayor,
can-
I'm gonna turn to
guys
you
can
now.
fire me.
Mayor, I'm looking at you now because it's the person that you brought to the board and to the village of Sauk Village. We must do better. Can we please do better? Why are these people still in place in our village? And I'm gonna leave it at that.
I'm going to remind you also that when we sent out notices for individuals to interview, we used the interview team approach as well, with the sanctions from the trustee that we would have an interview team who would rate them and come back and make recommendations. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. This was the recommendation. This was the person. I did not interview him initially. It was an interview team. Then after I interviewed him, they provided me with 2 different individuals, if you guys can remember, and Hisham He was the one that shined really brightly, and he's not been a disappointment. He is the one that I brought to your attention as an appointment for consideration, and he is in the position at this point, and I regret that you have an issue with him at this point, but I believe that Mr. McMillan, he attempts to work with each and every one of you. He attempts to work with me.
But Mayor, he told me he didn't care when I was bringing a finance situation to him right by them back doors. And I told that to you at a board meeting.
And
we don't need nobody that don't care working in the village, ma'am.
we
I'm glad I voted no
don't
for
need a
him.
lot
I'm glad
in
I
the
still don't
village.
vote no for him.
Okay, thank
And
you.
you must do better with picking people.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you have anything else you want to say, sir?
May I ask a question?
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
That's great. Okay, sorry about that. So, now we did go ahead and we passed, this is for accounts payable, since you did bring that up, it just brought me back to that 2.5 million that we had to go ahead and pay out. And then we have 2.4 that left us with $35,008.99. And then the upcoming 30 days or so, are we going to be broke?
The agenda discuss IT services.
This
We're not
is the
dealing
committee
with
of the whole. I
finance.
need to know. So
Yes,
we
but
can
it's
vote
still
the
agenda
proper
item.
way. I'm sorry,
No,
but
no,
I have to ask because I
okay,
won't know.
but we're not going to allow him to answer right this minute because this agenda item is on IT and not accounts payable. He's asking. Do you have any questions relative to IT services, anyone?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
In the past, IT companies, consultants has come before the board to make presentations. Why have we stopped that process?
Did they come before the board?
They've always come before the board and presented their company, presented their qualifications, and what they will be providing to the village. Why are we not doing that?
Well, you guys.
They're contracted. Any contract needs to come before the board. It is the board that votes contracts in and contracts out. So if these people are asking the board for a contract, why haven't we seen them?
Okay, you guys gave an RFP. You issued an RFP. The RFP should be reviewed.
We didn't get it. That didn't come before the board either. To recommend an RFP, that was done. It did come before the board, but what I'm saying is, we still have always had the contractors to come before the board and present themselves.
In an RFP presentation, you review the RFPs, and then you make a recommendation. If the board accepts that recommendation, that vendor can come before the board. You guys can scrutinize them, question them, and then you don't have to accept them. So after we make a recommendation, if you say, yes, we want to receive this vendor, or we want a contract with this vendor, you have a right to receive that vendor at a meeting. But you did not, you tabled it, so you have no vendor.
So again, you're saying before we have to hire a vendor before we can speak to a vendor?
You don't have to hire them. If we make a recommendation and you accept the recommendation, you can receive that vendor at the meeting, at your next meeting, and you can interview.
So we accept any of your recommendations, and that's what I'm saying. I accept this recommendation from Pace or Altec or anyone else. I accept all of the recommendations. So if you have a recommendation, bring it to the board.
We submitted
That's not how RFPs.
RFPs are not an interview process.
No.
I'm not saying that it is an interview process. What I am saying is, you want the board to hire a person based on what we read?
That's not what we've asked you to do. Are we taking a vote this evening?
We're not voting. I'm asking.
Thank you.
So wait, no, Mayor. Wait a minute. I'm not questioning you. I'm asking him questions. This is my opportunity. I'm not speaking to you.
No.
The floor.
Questions are supposed to be directed to whom?
No, Mr. McMillan. No. This is not public comments. Mayor, you just asked us.
Okay.
He just asked the board, Mayor, the board, if we have questions for him.
But it's for
So,
me
Mayor,
to recognize you and
you recognize me.
The question
I
to
was
me.
no, Mayor, please.
To him.
I am talking to Mr. McMillan. Mayor, I need no. Honor that. Parliamentary procedures that when a trustee is speaking, Mayor, please hush.
Oh my God!
Thank you.
Did that get your attention? Yeah, you got it. Because I'm going to ask if she continues this way.
No, if you continue, I am speaking to Mr. McMillan
right now.
You have asked us to ask him questions. I am asking Mr. McMillan questions. Why are you interfering?
Anything? Don't make it worse, okay? Please.
Me and Mr. McMillan is having a conversation.
Don't make
Mr. McMillan.
Worse. Would you learn?
This is the RSP. This is the second RSP
McMillan,
that has accepted.
You may be excused.
See? Why?
Thank you. The next one on the agenda is the village clerk, Debbie Williams. Debbie, you're next.
See? That is disrespectful.
That's because you're very disrespectful.
I'm not being disrespectful. I was telling Mr. McMillan.
You don't think that that's
because you're constantly. I got to tell you to hush because you won't. And I'm trying to have a conversation
Go ahead,
that you opened the floor to.
I'm not going to scream over her. Okay.
I'm done.
Thank you. Clerk, please move on because we have some very, very, very important information from our fire chief that needs our consideration this evening.
I am moving on to say that I am tabling the majority of what I was going to talk about, and I will bring it back at another time. Two things I would like to address quickly. The reason why the email situation is a problem, because oftentimes I'm asked, how come I didn't know this? How come this trustee knows this and I don't? So I'm very careful about making sure all trustees have all information. I was a trustee. I know how I felt when somebody knew more than I did. So maybe there was a little glitch with the emails, but if you specifically state to share, it will be shared. And I also want to remind you that I have several emails coming from several different places. So if I may have not transferred one quickly, please, if you don't see it transferred, I copy you just like I copy everybody else. If you don't see that copy within a relatively short amount of time, please let me know because that means maybe I missed it and I do make mistakes. And second of all, we do need to address meeting call-offs and late attendance because it's never been clearly stated that if someone comes into the meeting late, how late is late where they still get paid and how late is late where they don't get paid. And I'm not going to make that decision. And next week is payroll. So Mayor, tomorrow or someday this week, I'm going to be asking you specifically on this question. But I think we should have a policy or procedure in place regarding call-offs and late attendance, especially like you said, now we have to ask the rest of the board if they want to allow somebody else to call in. I think that should actually be part of a written procedure policy. That's all I have to say. Thank you all very much for your time.
I agree with you, Clerk. However, I'm not going to be the one that make the determination how late is too late to be paid. I know almost every other organization that I am a member of, in order to be counted as in attendance, you have to be there within the first hour. But that's for your trustees to decide, and we need someone to write up, develop some type of policy for them to approve. What I can tell you for the next pay period, because I know that we won't have that in place and approved by then, is if they were in attendance, be it remotely or physically, we will pay them. That's for the upcoming one, but hopefully soon thereafter, we will have something that everyone can be in agreement, okay? Thank you. Chief, Don, I'm sorry to keep you so long, but you have a number of proposals that need our attention and need to go on the agenda for next Tuesday. So can you give us brief overviews of each and every one of them?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Clerk, Trustees. Grant season opened up kind of late this year from the federal government. So FEMA just put this out, and there's numerous grants that I would like to apply for. One of them would be a fire prevention and safety grant, in which we would get a fire extinguisher training simulator, which would allow us to train residents, seniors, school children, and businesses in town how to properly use a fire extinguisher without having them directly in front of a fire. The estimated cost is $20,000 to $30,000. The federal government would pick up 95% of that cost. Another grant is for training. This one here would allow us to put numerous firefighters and firefighter candidates through training for the basic firefighter, advanced firefighter, fire officer development, as well as EMT and paramedic certification. I don't have an actual number for what that training cost is going to be at this time, but again, the federal government would pick up 95% of that cost. With these grants, all of them except for one, if we were awarded the grant and brought it before the board for final approval, the board does not have to approve it. So these do not have to be accepted except for one, and I will let you know which one that is when I get to that. Another grant proposal that I would like to do is to replace our squad pumper. That's currently a 22-year-old fire engine. It does rescue capabilities as well as being a pumper. The NFPA gives a 20-year recommended service life on fire apparatus. So we're in excess of that 20-year lifespan. The federal government on this one caps it out at $1 million that they would provide. I talked to a sales representative who gave me an estimate that he said was realistic at $1.2 million, which means we would be responsible for $200,000 of that $1.2 million. Again, this is one that would definitely require board approval on how we would go forward on that. Another one is a SAFER grant. SAFER is the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response grant. This is one where I would like to do a request for shift commanders. This way here we have supervision at the fire station after hours, 24 hours a day, and won't require myself or Deputy Chief Barrett to be present on every single major emergency. The federal government for this would pick up the annual cost for salaries and benefits. For the first 2 years, they would pick up 75%. The village would be responsible for 25%. And then in year 3, FEMA funds 35% and the village is responsible for 65%. That includes the base pay, standard benefits package, including health, dental, vision, etc., life insurance, and pension retirement contributions. So the federal government over the 3 years picks up quite a bit. And so that's one I would also, that I'm requesting that we can go forward on. And then there's a regional grant, and this is the one that I need a commitment for, because this is going to be, I'm going to need a memorandum of understanding to be signed on this one. The city of Harvey is doing a regional grant request for radios. I brought forth previously a request to purchase radios for the department for $246,000. The problem that we're having with that is Motorola is unable to finance us because we're behind on our audits. And so the bank that they go through isn't willing to give us the loan on the lease-to-own program because our audits are behind. And so this grant, because it's a regional, we would be responsible for 10%. The grant total project cost for our part of it is $246,072.38, which means the village share would be $24,607.23. So this is one where I would like to get approval right away on. Again, 10% of that cost, and the radios are very much needed. Just today, we were trying to communicate with our dispatch center on a call, and Deputy Chief Barrett was unable to get through, and he was trying to request a police officer out to a scene. So we're definitely in need for radios. And then wrapping this up, I'm going to share some good news. Is over the weekend I found out that the state of Illinois, with their small tools and equipment grant, has awarded us a $26,000 no-match grant for the purchase of a cutter package, spreader, and ram, so we can put that on our frontline fire engine. This complements the grant that we're getting from Firehouse Subs with similar equipment that's going to go on the squad pumper. So we'll have 2 sets of equipment so that whichever apparatus is out on a call, if we have to leave there and respond to an emergency, we have the appropriate extrication equipment on it. So I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about this. So this is really good news. So I'll entertain any questions for the grant proposals.
Are there any questions? Any questions, any comments? Which one are you recommending moving forward for Massachusetts? Do we have all of the necessary paperwork, resolutions, and whatever it is?
I will look at it by Thursday. I look at it where it needs to be on the agenda for next week. Resolutions are in place.
Do everything that's good. Is everyone in agreement with that? Moving forward. Go forward.
Thank you. One next thing, and I apologize. A little while ago, I brought up public safety building. We have until the end of July to move that forward to get on a ballot for a referendum. And I would like to get some direction on whether or not I should proceed with getting whatever information that I need to move forward with a referendum for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience. Now time for public comment. I'm going to ask anyone that has a comment to please stand and get in line now. I'm going to ask that you also be mindful of the time, just as I've asked all of the trustees and the officials and administrators to be cognizant of the time as well. I'm going to ask anyone that has any comment to please stand in line now. This is the 3rd time that I'll ask. With the number of individuals that is in line and at the lateness of the hour, if I have something to respond to, I will do it at another time, but it definitely will not be tonight, because we want to hear everyone that's in line, because right now we got at least, 5 or 6 people? So that's, Okay. So, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Village Clerk, and Trustees. So I am Commissioner Dr. Davenport. I just wanted to clarify a few things for you tonight. I am the chair of the Police and Fire Commission for Sauk Village. We do have 3 people on our commission. It takes 2 people to move anything, to make any votes, or make anything happen. I know that in the past you all have had some questions regarding my being the chair and being appointed by law. The commission itself has to vote for the chair. We did have a chair, Commissioner Anderson. She did step down as chair, not as a commissioner. We did do a vote. In that, there were some questions about whether her vote was valid. Even if we did not use her vote, it takes 2 votes to make anything happen on the commission. So my vote and Commissioner Prince's vote makes 2. even if we take her one out, which automatically makes me the chair, still qualify as chair, and Commissioner Prince is your secretary for the commission. We are moving forward. We are working. We are open. Our open applications for lateral ends on the 5th of June. So on the 6th, I will be posting tomorrow. I'll come up here and post and put it in your mailboxes, Mayor and Clerk, so that you'll know that we're going to have we're going to meet in an executive session on the 6th to go over. We have 7 applications, so that solidifies we do have 7 thus far. So we will be reviewing those, and we already have a date set with our vendor. They will meet with us on the 15th. That would also be a closed executive meeting to do interviews with those individuals that we're going to move forward out of the 7 and out of those 7. The chief is aware, and we're trying to move forward and go on with the next steps. We are also in communication with fire, and we are not able to get in our emails. We have candidates for fire stuck in that. We've been stuck since March, so that's a problem for us with that. Otherwise, when it comes to our 3 commission, I think it's section 10.2.11. Until someone is sworn in and seated, the current commissioner does stay in place until that new person is sworn in and seated. When it comes to commissioner, that's between you all and the mayor. I have nothing to do with that, but I do know that Commissioner Anderson was held up a year, which that's why she was due this year, but because she was held up a year, you all did not swear her in and vote her in until a year later, which threw her off and made her next year to 2027. So you all will have to work that out too, as well as whether she's up this year or next year. That'll be between you all, but I just wanted to share you all the commission is moving forward. We are working. We do have candidates, and we're going to still keep this village going and help us to keep us safe. Thank you.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
I'm ready now. I'm Francine Anderson, and of course, I have several questions or statements. Either way you want to take them, it's okay with me. Yeah, let's go. I think so. Now it's on. Okay. Okay. I have several questions or statements. First of all, I would like to start with last week. Last week, I think the examples that we were given, or that was shown from the interim village administration, Mr. Finch, as well as our finance director, Mr. McMillan. How in the world can you sit there and tell us, the public, that we have $2.5 million, and then ask the Board of Trustees to approve $1.7 million, and at the last minute, you add more that bring a total to $2.4 million. In doing simple math, to me that means our village was running on $100,000. How is that possible? That's a question that maybe we can find an answer to. So until those two can add and make sure that the public is getting correct information, how do you leave off payroll on here, an account payable? That's alone enough for me as a resident to say, let's fire and vote. They both need to be gone. I've been telling you about the mistakes of Mr. Finch for over a year. And now, that's extreme. It might not be extreme to nobody else, but it's extreme to me. Because I know that paying my taxes, paying my water bill, to know that you operate this whole town on $100,000 or less, that's impossible. Okay, let me continue to move forward. That is a great concern for me. Secondly, I would like to know, is the trustees getting all of the information? Because from what I'm hearing today, it's like things are just moving forward without them. And really, we need their votes to make anything go and to make anything work. The issue about the CD, I don't understand how that's even possible. I really don't. And you have it in an account. In an account that belongs to some other title. for money that's been there for years, that didn't get used. That residents that live on Peterson could have used to reinforce their homes that the trains are tearing up. The CNN money has been there forever. So if you want to reallocate that money instead of just letting it sit there, I'm sure the people on Peterson would love to have their foundations redone or have some assistance with having that money used for that particular area that the railroad is tearing up their properties. The other thing is that I know you guys approved it, and of course I always bring it up, but we approved the buying of 2 fire trucks. And I commend Chief Don on finding the name. I didn't get a chance to say, I don't agree. I said that 3 minutes go away.
Hello. This is Doc. Hi, David Smith, resident. 2 quick things I want to speak on. Logic and credibility. It's illogical to allow the finance director, the guy that forgot to pay payroll, he forgot to pay himself, ironically. Almost $700,000 he forgot. He's been given improper presentations for weeks. Tonight, he lied again, or misled. Let me not accuse him. He misled. He said Altec Digital was tabled. I didn't believe him. I stepped out in the hallway. Guess what, last week? The vote failed. Where is his due diligence? You guys paid this guy 6 figures. You appointed these people without the board approval, and all they do is mess up. We got the website is off, the emails are off, the phones are off, and all of this is due to your administration, and most of them were put in place without the board's approval. Unilateral. Village administrator, he says trustees are grandstanding. You know what grandstanding is? Grandstand is when you come up and do a presentation that doesn't need to be done because the transaction has already been done. But nobody was told about it, and he's misleading the trustees. Grandstanding is when you sit up and you just lie on a consistent basis and you make it seem like it's somebody else's fault. Do you ever tell the truth about anything? How do you transfer $1 million without board approval? Was it an executive order? Can somebody explain the laws to me about that? Because I'm lost. I'll do the research though. Transparency. Why is everything circumventing the board? Last year, or matter of fact, 2 years ago, that wasn't cool. You got somebody out of office behind that. You crucified Mayor Burgess for that. And now look at you. You're doing everything solo, and it don't make no sense because it's falling back in your face. Everything is failed. And it was your decision. Shit crazy.
Go ahead.
David Fields. Madam Mayor, from Sauk Trail in Jeffrey, from Jeffrey all the way down to 215. Can't hear me with this? From Jeffrey all the way down to 215. Can you hear me now?
I hear you. I'm gonna start you over, but get the best mic.
Okay. From Sauk Trail in Jeffrey all the way down to 215. That is a racetrack. That's 12 blocks with one speed bump, which is right at the beginning, right past the marathon. That don't make no sense. That makes no sense at all. That is only one speed bump in that whole 12 block area. That is a racetrack. Madam Mayor, these kids are out of school. They're riding their bikes up and down Jeffrey. They're out there going across the streets and everything. And them cars come through there. And if they ain't doing 50 or 60 miles an hour, they not moving. One of these kids is going to get hurt. You can go down some of these blocks where you got, every 2 blocks, you got 2 and 3 speed bumps. But in a 13 block radius, you only got 1 speed bump. That don't make no kind of sense. And I'm asking you, Madam Mayor, please, please, have Public Works to put at least 7 or 8 speed bumps down that area. It is needed. It is very much needed before one of our children get hurt out there by one of these fools flying down this street. Secondly, I kind of got to go back because I was listening to Trustee Burns when she was talking about this water, this money being transferred from the water fund, and the board had no knowledge of that. It seems like there's a whole lot of underhanded things being did here in this village between you, Madam Mayor, and the administrator, your assistant or intern administrator. And this board has no idea of it. When things like this start happening, just our people are wondering what is really going on between the two of you all. With this money coming up. You're talking about paying back $86,000, but $170-some-thousand was borrowed from it. What the rest of the money? What happened to the rest of the money? You're only willing to pay back $86,000? What happened to the rest of the money? There's just too much finagling going on around here. Yo, and all of these hands that's dipping into these cookie jars, believe me when I tell you, it's going to come back on you. It's definitely going to come back on you. Madam Mayor, I don't know what the connection is between you and your intern administrator, but you need to break that curse. You need to break that curse because that curse is going to come back at you. Because like I said before, he is not going to go to jail for you. He's going to put everything on you. When it's all said and done, he's going to drop everything on you and say, I only did what she told me to do. We see more than you all think that we see. We know more than you all think that we know. Our resource line goes very, very far. And believe me when I tell you, the people in this village talks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to ask the trustees to let's defer your comments and mine, if at all possible. But I do have one thing that I need to bring to your attention, and that is the notice of the June 6th. It's not a meeting, but it's the very first budget review. And I think that we have all been through this at least one time now, where 2 or 3 different departments come, present what they would like to see in the budget, justify what they would want to see in the budget, and then we just move on to the next. Right now, it's just collecting their information, what they want, and all of that. And that meeting starts at 9 o'clock, correct, Clerk? 9 o'clock on Saturday. And typically when it's on a Saturday, we would usually, I know when I was the clerk, I would do like a fruit salad and little things so that you wouldn't have to stop and prepare food before coming. But I'm really hoping to see all of our trustees out. It's not a mandatory meeting. Do they get paid? Okay. But we are going to need a quorum in order to proceed on. It wasn't always like that. Not when I first started. Because we didn't even have to take minutes when I first started in 2017.
It's almost been 40 years.
Okay? But no, but I'm just really hoping that we're able to see you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved. May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Rest well, be safe going home.
They making $1 million transfers and they ain't got no records. Crazy.